What is up, guys? Orbital-Pilot back here once again in the world of Warthunder. This time, taking the sky in the me-163, the German rocket plane. Now, this plane is it's interesting. First things first, you only get 6 minutes of fuel, which is kind of annoying. But perks of that are that you get a rocket plane, and it has a ton of acceleration. Now, this wasn't the plane I was planning to fly out, but it actually looked so interesting. I was like, yeah, you know what, I'll give it another go, just to see if anything's changed. And actually, a little has. Now, let's go over the bad things about this plane, starting off with, it probably has, personally, of course, this is all personal, this is the worst cannon in the game. These are the ones that come on the me-163 and the me-262, and are personally the slowest cannons I have ever fired in my life. Not only is the velocity low, but fire rate, everything is pretty stinking low. Now, of course, you get 30 mil, so if you hit them, they actually do quite a bit of damage. But you'll notice that the Japanese 30 mils and the Horton 229's 30 mils do a lot more damage, a lot more velocity, and a much higher fire rate. Now, the turn time of this plane is actually not as great as you would expect. Stuff like the stuff like the Horton 229's, of course, are going to outturn you. Stuff like, early tier British jets are going to actually keep up with you, if not beat you in most times. So keep that in mind. Now, stuff like F9Fs, yeah, they have no chance. Now, you can see I hit him with 30 mils and nothing. 30 mils again, nothing. He pops air brakes. That touched him, so that was 3 direct hits with 30 mils, and he's still flying. Now, of course, he is going to go down, but it's really kind of disappointing when you have to hit somebody that many times with guns that are actually fairly hard to hit with. Now, of course, it's not the hardest gun to hit with, but personally, I think if you hit somebody with a bunch of 30 mils, they should go down. Now, F9F tries to go heads up. This is probably the worst plane at this tier to go heads up with. Not only are you full of rocket fuel, but you also only have 2 cannons, and your cockpit is right at the front of the plane. So pilot snipes are very likely. You're most likely just going to get absolutely, and just your plane's going to be gone, basically, if anything touches you. This is one of the most fragile planes in the game, and also one of the most difficult planes to land. Now, you actually only have a ski on the bottom, which makes it extremely annoying to try to land. Basically, you land and you just pray to God that your wing doesn't fall off. Most of the time it doesn't, but sometimes, you get a little bit unlucky. Now, this is the weird time of the match in a me-163. You have enough fuel to get where you need to go. But you have to decide, do I want to climb and get altitude and go back into battle, or do I want to land and refuel? Now, of course, you can air spawn, so keep that in mind. But you also risk blowing off your wing when it hits the ground, so keep that in mind too. Now, mostly I've just been talking about the cons of this plane. Now, let's talk about the pros. The pros are it climbs extremely well. This is a plane that can climb at 30-40 degrees just fine. Be just happy. It's also a plane that maneuvers fairly well, and it's probably one of the best gliders in the game. This plane can glide like no other. In fact, at a slight 5 or negative 10 degree, at a slight negative or 5 or 10 degrees, this plane will actually gain speed past 300 miles an hour. So that's ridiculously impressive. Now, going for that plane, booming and zooming is personally what I tend to use, except for when I get into an actual dogfight. There's just no way you're going to keep up with F-86, especially not the F variants. Now, this is also a plane that you can use kind of multi-role. You can, like I said, dogfight, or you can boom and zoom. Energy fighting is not really its strong point, as most of the time you have to have throttle on in that situation. But, just keep that in mind, that when you actually do go and fight things like this, that you have a multi-role plane. Now, you saw me try to shoot an F-86 from, about half a mile away, and the plane was just not having it. I'm sorry, the guns were just not having it. Now, you also saw me get shot up fairly well by a bunch of 50 cals, and just a couple of bullets does that to my plane. So roll over and just let the F-86 go by. There's nothing I can do to catch him with 1 minute and 16 seconds left of fuel. There is nothing I can do. So F-86 rolls around. I'm going to try to go for him one more time, keeping my throttle on 100% just because I need all the extra speed. Just simply turning. I'm gonna have to head back to base. Normally I would pursue a dogfight with him, but like I said, he's gonna do most things far better than me. Now, what I said about gliding, this plane is actually really good. I know I said that, but it is extraordinarily good. With 40 seconds of fuel, I'm gonna easily be able to make it back to base. Basically, no problem. So, keeping the throttle on, I'm going to actually use it almost to 0 and then just glide. This is personally what I would do. As soon as you hit about a minute and 10 seconds, I would head right back to base. Now, with 5 minutes of fuel, you can actually do probably 10 to 15 minutes of gameplay if you're careful in a match. But really, any more than that, you're kind of pushing it. And talking about the engine, actually, this engine is extremely fragile. As a rocket engine, any bullet will either pretty much catch you on fire, of course, because you have rocket fuel, and yeah, you're either going to catch on fire or just have a pulverized engine. There's really no in between. So please keep in mind when you're flying out this plane, keep it fast, keep it safe, because any damage done to you is going to make literally any gameplay ridiculously hard. So, I mean, to wrap up this plane, obviously I'm going to show you how I personally land it. But this plane is not really a plane I would use as your main Tier 5 fighter. I would use something like Hornet 229, me-163s, the later variants, or, you know, of course, the CL, or the MiG-15. But it is a fun plane to take out, screw around with a little bit, because it is a very weird plane compared to what you're probably used to flying. So yeah, I mean, honestly, if you don't have it, it's probably actually worth going and unlocking. Just take it out for a couple times. It's very different, and different is kind of fun in a game with so many planes. So as you can see, just landing the plane, I'm going to bring the throttle all the way down to 0. I have 0 minutes of fuel, but I am losing actual speed extremely slowly. So going down, I'm going to tend to land at about 170 miles an hour, and then as soon as you do, just lay down the ski and very carefully lay on your wing. Now, of course, it rips off pretty easily, but I also am going to get repaired. So guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just ask me down in the comments below, and if you have a specific plane, also just let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next time.